Welcome back to the Coruscant Nights podcast. Thanks for joining us again. My name is Cooper. Joining me, as always, is Jack.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing today, Jack?
Pretty good. Yeah.
That's good. All right, so today we're going to begin a new series that we are calling Legends to Canon. This is something we've wanted to discuss for a long time. The Legends content in Star Wars is so broad and expansive.
Yes.
There's so much to cover. We can do so many different episodes on this series. Today, we're going to start with probably one of the most infamous characters in Legends.
Probably the most well-known.
And that's Mara Jade, also known as Mara Jade Skywalker. We'll get into who she is in a minute. But basically, the whole concept of this series is that we will take one aspect, one character, one event, one group from Legends. We'll discuss them, kind of let you guys know about who they are, and then how we think they could be moved into the canon time frame that's been established.
Or even if they could.
Or if they could.
If it's not even able for them to get in.
That's it, yeah. Anyway, so that's what we'll be talking about today. If you haven't already, go follow us on social media. It's at Coruscant Nights. And our Patreon is now free. So if you want to go support us on there, we'll have a QR code sitting around here. So just scan that. Or the links in our YouTube bio or Instagram bio. So yeah, and in the description. Yeah. So go support us on there for early access to videos, and we've got a couple of exclusive videos as well. You guys will be a big part of our decision making moving forward.
Yeah.
All right, Mara Jade. Who is Mara Jade?
That's a big question right there.
Mara Jade, I feel like she's a character who has just gone through everything.
She's been through every group too.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people know her for being a Jedi.
And Luke's
wife.
Yeah.
That's probably her most recognizable form. You've probably also seen photos or art of her with a purple lightsaber. That was from her time as a assassin for Emperor Palpatine.
Emperor's hand.
Yeah, an Emperor's hand. That's what they were called. So she started off as an assassin for Emperor Palpatine. She went and did a bunch of different jobs. But it's kind of weird, right? So I always thought Vader was
the hand,
the assassin. Yeah. So to have Mara Jade as this kind of other assassin is just a weird.
But it's also known that Mara Jade is not actually she's not even close to one of the most powerful Force users.
No, of course not.
So I think what Palps was thinking, was like, if you're going to relate to the Inquisitors, she's more of an upper, like, you don't want to send Darth out every time you got an issue or something. You need someone who can actually, like, hold their own, but also not be too powerful to overthrow the big boys, like Darth and Palps, kind of in that sense. Yeah. So I think she's kind of that nice middle ground between really good, but not too good kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that's where she kind of comes in. And I think that's also, it makes it a good contrast with Luke. Because you've got almost Luke, who's probably, if not, obviously at the time he is the most probably powerful Jedi, but he's like one of the most notorious ones too. And also, this is what I've always wondered. I'm getting too excited. I've always wondered, like, what the kind of the opinion of Luke, because he is pretty true to like the Jedi, but he also is not in the period of like the prequels either. Yeah. What was his motive to like have an attraction with like another person and like kind of have that kind of relationship? Like, how does he, I don't know, like,
well, from my understanding, I believe they were forced to work together a couple times.
They were, yeah.
And they just grew respectful of each other. And then I think on one mission where they were about to die, they were like, I just want to spend the rest of my life with you. Yeah. Which is an interesting sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, the whole Jedi notion of, you can't have relationships, you can't have kids, you can't do all of this stuff.
It's very built in religion in our modern society, very much too.
Yeah, so just to see Luke do that, but I guess obviously
he's not really. Yeah, he's not true to the.
He's not, but what Jedi are? We see Cal Kestis. He got with Marin.
It's Obi-Wan, all the ones who.
Satine.
But he didn't really though, did he?
But he did during the Clone Wars.
He never had a physical. He just
no.
He cut it off because he knew it wasn't, kind of thing. But before, I think because we could obviously talk about probably like how they initially met each other and stuff.
Yeah,
obviously, what she's done in the Legends, but we still haven't really gone through other kind of roles she played, which I find pretty funny as being a smuggler.
Yeah,
which is not actually, when I first like heard of Mara Jade, I knew she was a force wielder, and I didn't even think anything of her being a smuggler.
Yeah.
So if that was to, like, how would she go about, like, how would she have gone about being a smuggler as a force kind of user?
I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong in saying this, Mara Jade, after Palpatine's death, she sensed Palpatine's death, and her last order was to kill Luke.
That was what I was going to say, is what she done in Legends. That's the one I put down. And then,
So she kind of couldn't be that assassin anymore.
So what does she
transitioned into being a smuggler that went after Luke.
Here's another question, which I've never actually... This might be showing that I'm not the most all-knowing. What is the... What is the difference between a smuggler and a bounty hunter?
I think a smuggler... So bounty hunter...
transporting goods?
Well, smuggler, you think of smuggler and I think of...
Han?
No, I think of Han as a bounty hunter. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, no, I do think of Han as a smuggler. Sorry.
He is a smuggler.
No, sorry. Yeah, he's a smuggler. So, smuggler is doing, like, spice.
So, so you're more of a transporting of goods for money, but he doesn't really go hunting people for money, like bounty. Okay.
Yeah, bounty hunting is literally going and getting a bounty on someone and bringing them back to
dead or alive. Yeah.
I don't know why I said Han Solo is a bounty hunter, but could you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be sick.
What if season 2 of Star Wars? What if Han Solo is a bounty hunter?
We've already gone off track. Okay, back to I did find that funny though, like, because you don't in especially in canon we haven't really seen many force wielders be smugglers.
Yeah, no,
or even bounty hunters. We've got a few coming up now, but other than being Luke Skywalker's wife, we also have her known as being the mother to Ben Skywalker, which I think is quite hilarious in terms of how they took aspects from her kind of story too and brought it into sequels. But they're not really talked about that much, are they?
No.
Like, no one really mentions that they're almost a direct copy, almost, in that sense. Well, Jason Solo's probably more than even the name, like, Ben. But I think Jason's probably more Kylo, obviously, orientated than Ben.
Yep.
She was also a Jedi Master. This was obviously this is jumping forward in time quite a lot. This is after she tried to kill Luke. And then she wasn't a Jedi Master straight away. She had to obviously train under Luke, and Luke taught her a lot of ways. And then on Yavin, they started creating a new Jedi Order.
Yep.
And then Luke obviously didn't want to have to be at the helmet every 2 seconds, so gave that kind of position to Jade Skywalker, now being called. And that, I guess, allowed Luke to do more of his own thing, go more artifact hunting, which he's always been notorious to do.
That's it, yeah, absolutely.
And this is what I would also like to mention, and this is another character we would obviously I would like to talk about from Legends to canon, and she was also, so her masters was Palpatine, Kyle Katarn.
Yeah,
Kyle Katarn, who was a Jedi Master and could also, be in this series, but I don't want to talk about him because he's got a lot about him too, and I think he's
probably
had
his own video.
He's had some interesting references in canon actually already, I think, from him. I think people have kind of a bit like the Revan, where they're like, oh, they're insinuating him and everything. But she's, in other words, I think the main point we can grasp from this is she's been a lot of things, and she's known to a lot of people in different ways. But to us more kind of general fans, she's known as a Jedi, probably, and the wife of Luke.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. In talking about what she's done in Legends, I mean, she's been around this time period where the New Republic's building and, the fall of the Empire, and she was part of the Empire as well.
Yep.
In Legends, again, there's so much stuff. There's so much content in Legends. There was this group of warriors called the Yuzhan Vong. Now, I feel like they deserve their own video as well because they're just so cool.
Yeah.
But they basically went to war with the New Republic, and it was this big territorial battle. The Yuzhan Vong were galaxy invaders essentially, so it was...
Reminds me a bit of what they're trying to do with the High Republic now. With what are they called again? The
Nile.
Yeah, the Nile.
Yeah. They are kind of like the Nile.
Kind of, yeah. Stronger, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, they're really cool. So there was a war, and Mara Jade played a large part in that. And we kind of already touched on the fact that she was basically sent to kill Luke, and they really worked together to try and... I forgot who they were fighting against, but...
They had to team up.
They had to team up, essentially, and that's where they started to develop feelings and stuff.
Her demise.
Yeah. This is quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of family issues, but what's new in Star Wars in all honesty?
Skywalkers have all been known to have internal family problems.
And that's it, yeah. So Jason Solo, who is now a Sith.
Yep.
Or later on,
yeah.
Yeah. They kind of, Mara Jade and Jason fight each other, and it's actually quite interesting the way she dies because it's not a lightsaber wound, it's a poison dart in the thigh.
Yeah.
Just Jason using the Force.
I think this is
clever.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say. I feel like a lot of fights in now we must follow the rules of lightsaber, like jewel. But he was kind of like, thinking outside the box, as you're going to say. Like, I thought it would be cool to see Ben Solo in present canon. Would have been cool to see him when he became a Jedi again in Rise. It would have been cool to see him wield a lightsaber and a gun, similar to
Han. Sorry. Jason.
Because he grew up learning how to use a blaster from Han and Chewie and everyone. It would have been cool to have him fight. Imagine him fighting the Knights of Ren and whip out.
That would be cool.
It would have been sick to see, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like what Jason does here, I guess, in terms of he doesn't just rely on purely, he knows he can't probably best her in a 1v1.
Yeah.
So he had to think outside the box. And it's good character depth. And I think I would probably not say he would have his own in this series video, but I think maybe more of the family, like the nephews kind of grouped together and kind
Absolutely.
I think that would be good to explore. But in terms of what she's done in Legends, it's more just her impact on the war. She didn't, apart from training the new Jedi Order, she didn't really, and well, I guess we already briefly mentioned about how she was a hand of Emperor. I mean, I don't know for a fact what she really did as the hand of the Emperor. I don't know what missions she has done. I'm not that much well attuned into Mara Jade in terms of that sense. I don't know if you know what her role as, like, aside from just, taking out people who are a threat to the Empire.
I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah, probably just that.
And a threat to Palpatine's power. So,
yeah.
But she's had her hands across everything. Yeah. So it's like, she's pretty.
What hasn't she done almost at this point?
That's it. Yeah. All right. So this is kind of the crux of
the main part we wanted to
the series. We want to discuss why we think Mara Jade should be in the canon timeline. I feel like, first of all, she's just such an awesome character.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Obviously, having her hands across everything. Obviously, I feel like it would be difficult to see her entire story put into.
And I think you'll be able to now. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that. But just like, you just would get such an awesome character, an already established character. People who don't know her would love her just because she's so cool.
She's got so much with her. It's not just one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that she would have a heavy impact on Luke's journey.
I think it would almost be a way to... I know you probably don't think he needs fixing in the sequels, but I think personally, from a person who doesn't like the sequels, it would be a way to almost give Luke a bit more of a reason to go into hiding if he's lost Mara Jade and, everything that he's kind of built with her. Because I know he doesn't mention her about the temple and everything, but imagine if she was also in that temple and maybe she was trying to help the younglings and she sadly died in that sense or something, something like that. But it would build to the extent of him getting pushed into kind of exile, I think, which would be a much better story for him in that sense.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about him failing as a master, but also probably as failing your family in that sense too. Like losing his loved one.
Exactly.
So I think that would almost probably be... I feel like to introduce Mara Jade now, after the sequels have come out, it'd have to be after Return and between Force.
Correct.
But that's with more Luke and Mara Jade together. You could almost introduce Mara Jade beforehand because, as we know with Ahsoka now, she was never she was never a thing. But now was during the Empire time too. So you could almost have that as... You could almost have the Emperor... Like, her story being the hand of the Emperor be still a thing because the Emperor never told verbally to Darth even or to, like, any of the other Imperial forces. She was much more of a secretive mystery that... Because he always had strings everywhere. So it wouldn't be that obscene to have her doing other dirty work for him that Darth wasn't aware about or anything.
Absolutely,
so, I don't think that'd be the most unusual thing in the whole thing, but...
Yeah.
Do you want to explain where... perfectly she could fit in currently?
Yeah, so I feel like obviously her journey kind of takes place. The main part of her journey takes place where we're kind of at the moment in the Star Wars timeline.
Yeah.
So I feel like the obvious answer would be during the era of the Empire, and I know you'll kind of speak to that in a minute. But just because that's going to be a big team up movie, I suppose. And her journey would fit kind of in that. We're getting Luke.
It almost could just replace the Yuuzhan Vong War for the heir to the Empire, because the heir to the Empire had clone Force users in that book, but I don't think that's going to happen now. Because they've got the Night Sisters and all that kind of stuff there.
Yeah.
So you could almost do a direct replacement for her just being placed into a different war. It might feel a bit weird having her just show up. And this is why they could do like the Ahsoka thing in Mando, where that she shows up in Ahsoka. People are like, oh, who's this interesting character? And then they go back and give her her own thing and kind of fill in the periods before when we see her then, and then, and then you can follow her after with the present.
Yeah.
So it could do like a pre-thing on her own. I don't know if she would benefit from a movie.
No.
I think she would be the one character I would say would benefit from a show, because you could do an anthology because of how much she's done in the past. You couldn't just have one movie.
Correct.
And if she did do everything she did in that movie, she'd be the assassin, a smuggler, a Jedi, and then a master, and then you can't do all that. It's impossible.
In a movie,
so it'd be like good to have an anthology series of her. I think that'd be amazing to see.
Yeah. So like, in the sense, if she was going to be introduced in this time period of heir to the Empire and Ahsoka,
post-return,
we need to be kind of looking at how her current story in the Legends would now be adapted into canon. And so I feel like, obviously, here's the thing about Legends, right? So Luke Skywalker in canon dies in 34.
I don't know how many years.
ABY.
Yeah.
That's the year of The Last Jedi. Luke Skywalker in the Legends, I believe, dies in the year 139 ABY.
Yeah.
So, it changes a lot. But Mara Jade's story, you can't have her have kids.
No, because
that just disrupts Luke's thing.
Unless it was in secret.
It could be.
And they're just now off and they don't even have...
But then I really... you can't introduce Mara Jade and the kids and then kill them off before the sequels. I feel like
do they have to be killed off, the kids? Or even Mara Jade for that sense?
That would play such a large part.
I know, but you think about that with Ahsoka during the Empire. Why didn't she help out during the...
That's true.
You know what I mean? I still find that being weird too. Like, Luke going up against Darth and the Emperor, and Ahsoka's just like...
Well, she was doing alright. She was doing other things.
Yeah,
and
but
technically,
Darth is so connected to her too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So you could almost do that. There's no reason why you couldn't have them be doing their own plot aside from the main sequel plot. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And I'm going to introduce this point because would reinforce my point too. If you don't have her being the Emperor's hand in this new introducing a new canon and have her as Thrawns, right? So during the time of this heir to the Empire, she's working on the Thrawn.
Yeah, okay.
Luke's fighting with the good guys. Thrawn sends Mara Jade to take out Luke because Force on Force wielders. Luke gets the better of her. It's a pretty tough fight. He doesn't want to kill because he's a Jedi, but then has a decision to make. He either kills her or tries to turn her to the light. Turns her to the light. Boom, got their story there, right? So now instead of being the Emperor's hand, you've got her under Thrawn's hand, meaning that if Mara Jade and kids survive after this heir to the Empire and after Luke's death and everything too, she wouldn't have a feeling to intervene with the Emperor coming back and Rise because she was not related to that now if you're changing the storyline. So now Thrawn's gone, let's say he's passed away somehow. He can focus a different kind of branch. Instead of the sequel one, you have a different branch with Mara Jade and the kids.
Could do.
Different Jedi Order that even might connect to Rey's one eventually.
Yeah.
She might go searching out for Force wielders and comes across them and goes, wow, I could use some of your guidance because you're now wise and, oh, you knew Luke too, I knew Luke too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you had kids with Luke Skywalker? That'll be a line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. That would be something that would be written. Yeah.
But how interesting would that be?
It would be.
That would give the sequel trilogy a far better look too, because it would get a different, like Clone Wars gave the prequels a bit of a different thing. This could be the thing for sequels.
I just think that the main thing that Mara Jade's inclusion does, besides being a really good character, it just adds that depth for Luke.
It does.
Even more. It explains more of why he went into that miserable state.
100%. But then it also develops even further through Rey, if you can connecting it to Rey, because she was obviously an apprentice, obviously, of Luke too.
Yeah.
That kind of carries the legacy over too, in a way, sense too, that Mara Jade is Luke for Rey maybe now.
Yep.
And you got an old female master instead of Luke. And she's honouring his legacy in that sense too. Yeah. I don't know. It could be really cool to see. It could be.
So basically, essentially, we can't adapt the entire Legend story because it's just impossible
now. Yeah.
But it would be awesome to see Mara Jade fit into the canon at the moment because, like,
I also want more female Jedi in this time period. You know what I mean? I would love to see it. And I think having Mara Jade come in is the pinnacle of female. I feel like in my head, is the pinnacle of the female Jedi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's been through everything. She's experienced almost everything. And she is now the probably definitive Jedi Master, you know, of the time period, almost with Luke. Well, obviously, if you're adapting into canon, she will be after Luke.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I feel like because now we've got Ahsoka, we've had Rey, but Mara Jade is so much different to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Different journey,
different experiences, different outlook on the Jedi. It would just make for a really interesting kind of storyline. And I think her whole aesthetic too is just a lot more punk kind of.
Yeah, it's cool.
Rogue, you know?
Yeah.
Rogue rather than like, oh, I'm Ahsoka. I followed the Jedi even though I don't agree with them. I still don't want to fight. And you got Rey who's like, I didn't even know about the Jedi. I'm just the most powerful.
That's true. That's true.
So I think it'd be a good mix. And I'm pretty sure general audiences would, I think,
they would love her.
Connect with her a lot easier than what has come before. I don't want to say. But because she's had so much depth if they do her right. You know what I mean? Like Rey was a created character. And this is probably where the issue comes in. She doesn't have a lot about her. Like now they have to create so much for her. We already have so much for Mara Jade. She could be the legacy character that helps Rey become a more established character in the future.
I really feel like there's nothing to lose by introducing her.
There's not at all. Like we've already done so much. Why can't we have her in?
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Do you think people would get upset if her story was adjusted to fit into the canon?
You know what? I know you and I would say no.
Yeah.
I think people would. Some people would. They'll be so salty that it's not she wasn't under the Emperor. Okay. You know what I mean? Unless if they do the Emperor, though, I don't know how they would do it.
Here's a question.
Do you have one?
Let's say Mara Jade's introduced, but Jason Solo kids aren't.
Okay, kids aren't. Yeah.
So it's just Mara Jade. I feel like, do you sacrifice Mara Jade's inclusion into canon and get rid of the possibility of having Jason Solo, Ben Skywalker, etc., all the kids? Do you sacrifice all of that plot moving forward for Mara Jade's appearance for 30 years in the canon timeline? Or do you just completely keep it separate? Can you introduce Mara Jade without the kids?
This is interesting. I think there is no way you can introduce everything from Mara Jade in Legends to canon now. Impossible. So either way, the people will be upset if you can't adapt every single thing. I personally am someone who probably would prefer to see Mara Jade's kids be adapted, but then change some of what she did in the past, like Emperor's Hand or Smugglers even, but have that aspect. But then I know some people who are watching and listening would probably prefer to have her be the Emperor's assassin and do all that, but not have the kids.
Yeah.
See, that's where it kind of, there's two different, I think there's a divide.
Absolutely.
So the only reason I would think that they wouldn't, if they did introduce her, wouldn't have the kids is because we already have Ben Solo and that Skywalker kind of Jason Solo aspect. I feel like it might, now that I'm saying this out loud, it might retcon, it might be exactly the same and we don't want the same. So maybe I might actually change my mind and go back to being the Emperor's assassin, marrying Luke, but maybe even before they have kids, she dies or he dies, and then she goes on.
Yeah.
In the timeline, you know what I mean?
Even if in your idea of being the a Thrawn ascendant or whatever, even have Thrawn kill her off or something.
But I feel like you couldn't introduce her now and then kill her off now straight away.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only thing. There hasn't, and I think that's my problem with Thrawn too. They didn't build him up enough. Like in the books, Legends, he was built up throughout the whole Empire. He was one of the Imperial, he wasn't the Grand Admiral at the time. He was just a random admiral.
Yeah.
And he got built up. Everyone was seeing the things he did in the war, his battle tactics, his strategy, and he climbed the ladder. We only just saw him now, basically. Even in Rebels, he's still like top dog. We didn't get to see the progression.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't just stick Mara Jade in and then kill her off
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be a bit contradicting to bring her back in kind of thing. Yeah. But it'd be okay. Unless you have something more to say, I have a final thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a final thing for you basically too, and us. Realistically, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you reckon she's gonna come in ever, or 1 not coming in ever. Where do you think Disney will actually bring her into the canon?
I think that Disney is kind of focusing on their own stuff now. And I don't really think they want to touch Legends, which is a shame. So I'll probably go like a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
But I seriously think they're missing out on a massive opportunity here.
Interesting.
It would just be fantastic.
So my rating's a bit different. I agree with you that they're focusing on their own. They're not going to focus on a lot of Legends. But I feel like if they do focus on Legends, she would almost be the number 1 pick.
Absolutely.
She'd be adapted completely different. Probably like what we said.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon she has a greater chance than a lot of other characters. I'm going to put her at like 6.
Okay.
I think she has a greater chance than I feel like she, out of all the Legends characters, aside from obviously Thrawn, he is the first Legends? I don't know. But I feel like aside from the Old Republic Legends characters, she's probably next in line. But the Old Republic characters and everything in that era has a lot more freedom for them to tap into because it doesn't affect the main story that they've already taken over. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the difference. Mara Jade is very in the middle of what's already established, which is the only possibility why she's not higher in my rating. But overall, I think she's a great character. Yeah. And I definitely think she deserves time of day for canon.
Absolutely. 100%. It would be awesome to see that. Find the right actress, find the right way to introduce her in.
And don't change too much.
Correct.
Keep her why people already love her from the books. Yep. Don't try and reinvent the character. Yep. Don't introduce her then if you're going to do that.
Correct.
Simple as that.
Absolutely. Yep. Do all those things and Disney might have a winning formula.
Money. Mr. Krabs.
Yeah. All right. That's it from us for this first installment. Yep. I'm really excited to see where we go with this series. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
We hope you enjoy, and we hope you let us know down below, obviously, if you guys know Mara Jade or if you want to see more of other different characters that we might not even know about.
Some.
And let us know your thoughts on how you might think she'll be introduced if she does get introduced. So,
yeah. Absolutely. All right. That's all from us. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.